Evolutionary.org podcast coming away, episode 405. Stevesmi here and the Rigster. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
All right, so guys, we have 5 really fun topics. A couple of these, we've never even talked about before, and a couple of them are right up your alley, Rick. So really, really exciting podcast. We're going to talk about fertility. We're going to talk about prohormones. We're going to talk about esters of steroids. We're going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff. But the first one we're going to talk about is up your alley, Rick. What do I do if I'm running a 12-week cycle and halfway through I have to travel or I have to stop my cycle? Maybe I have to do an emergency surgery for something. Something happens where you have to stop your cycle. So this is up your alley because you're always, traveling and stuff. So have you ever been in this situation where you've been halfway through a cycle and you had to stop?
Oh yeah, it's happened a bunch of times throughout the years. A lot of times, it's just what it is. Recently, I had a infection at a root of one of my molars, and that tooth already had a root canal. But years later, decided to get infected at the root. They had to cut open the gums, go right through the bone, and drill straight through the bone to the very tip of the root of that tooth, and remove the infected tissue and repack it. I mean, right in the middle of me doing a little run of juice, which is going to be my sort of comeback. But it happens. What you have to do is you just go straight into PCT right on the spot. You stop taking your steroids and go straight into PCT. I went right into my herbals right away and just stop taking the steroids, stop taking the juice. Obviously, with the operation and everything, I had to take antibiotics and had to the antibiotics then not cause you to break your fasting grind, because you have to take them throughout the day. I had to take a tablet every 6 hours. They're kind of strong on your stomach if you don't have some food with it. So fasting grind right out of the window. Just had to go straight into PCT, man. Stop injecting. Especially, I was going to go into an operation on tissue in my mouth. Definitely some steroids can irritate the skin, like trenbolone, for example, can irritate or where the skin should be healing. So just stop it into PCT and HC Generate ES on the spot. It's HC Generate ES. Go to hcgenerate.com. You want the extra strength version, just hit that instead. And throughout the years, whenever I've had to come off cycle, and like the time I got hit by a car, cracked my forehead open, just stop the cycle, got on HC Generate ES while I'm healing. I felt as though, especially for open cuts and wounds like that, I don't think the steroids are doing much in the way of helping with actual cuts. And I think some of the stronger stuff, again, trenbolone, maybe some of the methyl stuff, can maybe irritate the skin more, I felt like. But the herbals like HC Generate ES, I think it's just total opposite. I think you're in a better healing mode. So those have been like the kind of reasons that I've stopped. I've had sudden travel. That's happened also. And when I have sudden travel that I can like plan it a little bit, I'll inject long ester stuff right before even the day of the travel. And then once I get to where I'm going, I make sure to get my PCT together and just jump right into PCT. Or sometimes travel takes me to a place that's steroid friendly. And so I can go to a pharmacy, whatever it's called in that place, and just get what I need. But yeah, the best thing is just go straight to PCT. Don't quit cold turkey, and don't try to travel with this stuff. Or if it's a health issue, don't try to like shoot steroids while you're taking antibiotics for like an infection that's really, like in my case, I'm gonna have to go under the knife and have my skull drilled. Probably not. Just get off the fucking steroids and look, it delayed things. I couldn't go and train because the tissue is healing and raising my blood pressure on tissue that's healing like that. Not the best idea. So you just, and I had to eat from morning till night. So you just break your grind until you get better. Then now I'm feeling good. I got a clear from the doc. I've been back on my grind the last couple of weeks, just back. That's how it goes, man.
So, I mean, in this situation too, depends what you're running. If you're running long esters, you gotta stop your cycle for a week, week and a half, 2 weeks. You can actually just inject, and then after the crisis is over, start injecting again, and you won't miss a beat because those esters are still in your system. So that's something to consider too. If something happens where you have to travel at the last minute or something like that. But I mean, if you're not going to be able to focus 100% on your cycle, then it's not in your best interest to continue it. It's better just to come off and call it a day and just move on, because you got to be able to focus 100% on your cycle. The best cycles that you're going to run ever are going to be cycles where you can focus in on your training. You have a work schedule and then you have an hour a day to focus on your training. Your set schedule. Sometimes you may work out in the morning. Sometimes you work out before work, sometimes after work, whatever. But that's going to be when you have the rest results. When you got things going on and you got stresses and all this other crap, you're not going to be able to do good on your cycle. So you want to dedicate that window, that 3-month window or 10-week window where you can just focus on your steroid cycle without any interruptions, without any stresses, etc. And that's when you're going to get the best results. So that's what I would tell you guys in this situation. So make sure you have everything in order. And some people, Rick, I don't know if you're like that. You're definitely worse than me because I have a pretty stable life and you seem to be like all over the place. But, with me, I keep a stable life. If there's something that comes up, I try to nip it in the bud. Anything that comes up, I try to nip it in the bud right away so I can get back on track. Because if anything throws me off track and it affects my training, there's a problem. And that's why, I don't have kids. I don't get obligations. I don't own rental properties that I rent out anymore. These are things that I've avoided because I don't want those types of responsibilities because I don't want it to get in the way of my training. I don't want it to get in the way of my work. So I want to focus in on it. So if you've got a lot of responsibilities and you're having a hard time keeping up with things, it's probably better that you don't run steroids, because something could come up and it's going to ruin your cycle. You could be like, okay, I'm going tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. to go work out. And your wife wakes you up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh, little Timmy has a fever. You've got to take him to the doctor in the morning. Well, now you just ruin your workout. So I mean, these are life obligations that you have to overcome if you want to take your fitness level to the next level. And Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about this in a lot of the things he said over the years, in that he would never let any outside influence affect his workouts. Even to the point where his father passed away in Europe and he was getting ready for a competition. And he said, you know what? I don't want to hear it. I'm focused in on this. Don't call me and tell me my father died in Europe. I don't want to deal with that outside stress. So it sounds really horrible, but if you want to be a champion and you want to take things to the next level, you have to put your training first. You have to put it first, and nothing can stand in your way. And that's why I've had to make sacrifices in my life. Economic sacrifices, financial sacrifices, family sacrifices, friendship sacrifices, because if it's going to get in the way of my training, then we're going to have a problem. So I like to focus in on her. Those have been my best cycles when I've been able to laser focus in on my cycles. And at the end of the day, look, most of us don't have trust funds. If you have a trust fund, good for you. you can just focus in on your training 100% and just spend the next 12 weeks training, eating, and fucking. All right. But for the rest of us, I actually have to work for a living. Sometimes shit gets in our way. So the trick is to don't stress yourself out and don't overload your life with responsibilities. This way you can dedicate that 1 hour a day to your training. There's 24 hours in a day. All you got to do is dedicate 1 hour a day to your training, just 1 hour. So that's the secret to this. That's the secret to being successful in this. All right, Rick, you want to add anything else to that? Or
yeah, it's gotten so much harder for guys like me, for example, where I have the kids, I have the business. I got people like me have overloaded themselves with responsibility.
But the kids don't live with you, though.
So much harder. What was
your
that?
Your kids don't live with you, though.
Oh, they also have emergencies. They call me when they need something. I have to spend time on the phone. I have to pick them up, drop them off, especially during the week even when my kids were going to school on their computer, on their laptop, he spent all the time with me. So even having the kids and they're not with you, you still got to check up on them every single day. You still got to talk to them.
You have domestic responsibilities now.
Well, they have a cell phone with WhatsApp and with Skype, and they just ring you out of the blue when they need something. It's even if they're not next to you every day, you still gotta worry about them, think about them. Got business, gotta kind of the man of the house, helping out my mom, my sister that live right nearby, right next door. So I know what you're saying, man. And let me tell you something. Ever since the gym stopped being 24 hours, I've missed more workouts. Ever since they closed the fucking gym at 11 p.m. and they don't open it until 5:30 a.m. A lot of times I went to the gym at midnight. It's one of my favorite times to go to the gym.
It
was midnight. Midnight, 1 a.m. Nobody be there. Maybe me and 2-3 other guys for the whole gym. Just move right through the equipment. I love it. I don't like going to the gym where there's a bunch of people there. I really don't enjoy it as much as when I just have the gym to myself and I work out right before bed. I'd be done with my workout 1:30 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., come home, sleep until 8 a.m. and fucking, get on with my day. It was great. Now, yeah, that's really put a hurting.
That reminds me of the story. That reminds me of the story of 24-hour gym. The guy went and did bench pressing on the Smith machine, and they found him the next day dead. The bar had gone on his neck and choked him to death, and there was no one there because he was working out by himself.
Yeah, I'm very when it comes to doing chest, I don't risk it. I don't fucking do bench by myself at the gym at that time. Yeah. I'll make sure to actually go in and make sure that I'll pull guys out of their workout and ask them to spot me. Once in a while, I can't. I think last time I did bench as of this podcast, I couldn't pull anyone out of. There were people in the area, but not near me. So I just want to get my fucking workout done. I just didn't go to failure on that workout.
When I used to train earlier,
you got to be careful with that fucking. And let me tell you guys something. Anybody listening to me out there, listen to me. If you're working out at a gym doing bench and you don't have a spotter, do not put the fucking clips on the weights. Okay, if you're working out and you have no spotter, and you like me, you like working out at 1, 2 a.m. when this comes open again, do not ever put the fucking clips on the sides of the weights. Because if you get into trouble, if you tip the weight one side, the weights are going to slide right off. You tip the ball one side, weights will slide right off, and it'll yank it away from you on the other end, and you're fine. But you put those fucking clips on the outside of the weight like an idiot while you're in that gym bench pressing by yourself, and you get in trouble, you're going to die. You're going to fucking die, okay? So don't do that. That's just a little tip for everybody out there, a little trick for you guys working out by yourselves or at home even.
When I used to work out in the mornings, there'd be a bunch of old farts in my gym, and a couple skinny guys. So, I bench so much, Rick, I'd have to have like 3 of them spot me at the same time. Just to, because the weight's so fucking heavy. One of them can't spot me, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm the kind of...
I'd rather stay up a little bit later than go to sleep early. So if I got something to do, or if I have a something needs to get done, I'd rather just get it done tonight. That way I can sleep in peace and not like, okay, now I'm going to try to go to bed extra early with this shit on my mind. And it'll be the first thing I do when I wake up. Very, very rarely do I ever put myself through that unless I'm waiting for a third party or an entity to open. If it's on me, I'll just stay up later and get fucking pushed out. It's kind of been my personality. I know you're an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. You like
No, I'm
going to bed
normal.
early.
You're abnormal. I'm normal. I have neighbors that are like 20 years old who are the same way. They're on your schedule. Once you get into your 40s, it's time to grow up and start waking up like 5 in the morning and go to bed like at 8 or 9. That's what grown-ups do. You have domestic responsibilities, right? You have domestic responsibilities.
Of course, we'll
That may, every you think that would have changed my mind, right?
What do you?
Well,
you live with a girl.
Remember,
you live with you
remember that remember Mystic River? Remember that scene with Sean Penn and Mystic River?
I don't think I've ever watched Mystic River.
Good YouTube domestic responsibility. He gets so pissed at his father-in-law because his father's like, you have domestic responsibilities now. And the guy's like, oh, you think that would have changed? You think that would have slipped my mind, huh, Cleo? He's like, you're talking to me about domestic fucking responsibility. Because his daughter had gotten murdered like the couple of days before, and the guy's like telling him about domestic responsibility, like being very insensitive. So he's like, domestic fucking responsibility. Have you not seen that movie, bro? Like, Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Clint Eastwood directed it. It was like an Academy Award winning movie.
Well, everybody should see every Sean Penn movie ever made. That is true. I'm missing that one.
Oh, I know the one you like. The one Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Remember that one?
That's another Sean Penn movie I need to watch.
You haven't seen that? But I mean, the younger guys listening to this have no clue what I'm talking about. That movie came out like in 1981 or something. So the young guys, the young guys have no clue what I'm fucking talking about. That's a classic.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. So I tortured you enough on the first time. Let's move on. I know you're So next one, this is for you too. This is for you. This one's for you, Rick. I was thinking about you on this one. Speaking of children, domestic responsibilities. It says he's 35 years old on TRT, but now his new fiance wants a kid. So let me give you guys an update on this, okay? Once you get older, you might not realize this in your 20s, but once you start getting into your mid 30s, late 30s, 40s, you start dating seriously, right? And you meet girls, guess what? They're going to want kids. That's like the one thing that women want if they haven't had kids. If they have had kids, most of the time, they do not want more kids. But if they don't have kids, they're like pounding the table for kids. So if you get with a girl and you start dating and you guys get engaged and stuff, she's going to start wanting a kid, right? And after you get married, and if you can't give her a kid because you're not shooting bullets anymore, because when you take anabolic steroids and you go on TRT, okay, especially TRT because you're on TRT long term, if you be on TRT for 2-3 years, you're going to be shooting blanks. So your fertility rate is going to drop, right? So luckily it only takes one sperm, but the chances of the sperm being motile is less and less, meaning you have weak sperm. So the chance of that sperm fertilizing the egg becomes less and less. And those are something that over the years I've written about. And herbals do help increase sperm motility. So you guys can look at the herbals. Rick's product N2 Generate ES is really good for fertility for that reason. But you must come off your TRT to get your body producing its own hormones and producing its own sperm again, because the longer you stay on TRT, the less of a chance. So this is another one of these topics that as men, we have to take more seriously because it's going to ruin relationships. I've seen marriages ruined over this because they try to have a kid, and they can't. They can't have a kid because the guy has used steroids or he's on TRT and he's shooting blanks. And you know what the woman's going to do? She's going to go cheat on you with your best friend who is shooting bullets and try to get pregnant that way. So that's what's going to end up happening. But in all seriousness, what she's going to end up doing is she's going to be divorcing your ass because she wants kids and you can't hook her up with it. And it's going to cause a tremendous, the experience of that will cause a strain on your relationship that will be everlasting because you're going to tell her shit that you can't take back. And she's going to tell you shit that she can't take back. And you guys are going to be at each other's throats over this. And I've seen this destroy marriages and relationships. So at the end of the day, You guys have to be careful. You guys in your 20s who think you're so smart and you want to go on TRT at 28, 30 years old, you're going to come to regret it when you get older because you're not going to be able to have kids. But I'll let you talk about this one at length, Rick, because you've been in this situation.
Well, PCT meds and herbals work. I mean, what else you want me to tell you? Just because you put yourself on TRT doesn't mean that your fertility shot. Just work with doc. Make sure you get those sperm tests. Make sure that you are lowering your dose. Make sure you're introducing HC Generate again, just like the first episode. Look, guys, we've got threads on the forums from guys coming back and saying, shit, I got my wife pregnant taking HC Generate. I've been on TRT for years. We've had those reviews. These herbs were used to help men conceive children before there were any fertility clinics to speak of, right? Men have been concerned with having children and getting their wives pregnant. Back in the day when having more children made you basically stronger because you'd have more people look after you when you were older, you make your tribe larger. Men have always wanted to have more kids. This is a new modern construct that we don't want to have any more children because they're burden on our perfect lives nowadays. But if you go back in time, you wanted to have children. Without children, when you got older, you'd have nobody to protect the village. You have nobody to take on the heavy loading, on the heavy lifting when you got older, if you didn't have enough children and those around you didn't have enough children. And so these herbs have been used for, decades, thousands of years by men across the world to solve the same very problem. So when you take HC Generate, hcgenerate.com, and to generate now we call it. When you take the product, it works, man. I've got 3 kids. I've been taking steroids since I was a young man, late teens, and 3 children. The youngest one is 9 years old, 8 years old now. So, it's what it is, man. And I've been taking steroids, going on over 20 something years. So the herbs work. They've worked for me. I'm proof of it, and I'm sure you guys will agree too.
What if the kids would have came out with blonde hair and blue eyes? Would you?
What is funny? I had 3 boys. I know an older gentleman that I helped with a bottle of HC Generate. He had a boy. My father had a boy on HC Generate too. How fucked up is that? So I don't know if this is just I don't know if there's all coincidence, but yeah, bro, HC Generate. It's fucking worked for me. I tell you that. Even when I wasn't quite trying to get it to work, when I was a younger man and I had my second child, it just did. I thought I was going to be sterile from steroids for a long time, and we had just released the product, and I started kind of introducing the whole formulation into my program, and lo and behold, we got baby. It's just kind of what happens, man.
All right, guys. So definitely, guys. I'm not. We've seen in studies that herbals help. We've also seen vitamin E, which is in N2 Generate, right, Rick? Vitamin E.
Yes, we got vitamin E
Yeah.
and N2 Generate, zinc. Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. And those zinc has been shown to boost testosterone levels. It's actually essential to boost testosterone levels. And vitamin E has been shown to boost fertility. And then the other thing would be clomid. Clomid also has been shown in studies to boost fertility in men. We're talking about men here, not women. So ACG has not been shown in studies.
Clomid will make women ovulate too. Clomid will make women ovulate too. Really,
yeah. So but for men, fertility drugs for men, they do not exist, but they exist for women. But we've seen in studies vitamin E, clomid, and these herbals that Rick's talking about actually do help. ACG, which is pregnol, okay, which is a peptide, actually does not boost fertility in men. It does not boost fertility in men. It actually can hinder it. So those of you who, want to take ACG, be careful, because what it does, what HCG does, is it will mimic LH in the body and kind of manipulate your Leydig cells into firing off. But what happens is in the process, it's jumping over your pituitary glands to do that, and it's signaling your pituitary glands to become suppressed. So even though on paper you say, "Wow, it's stimulating my Leydig cells," in reality, it's actually hindering your fertility over the intermediate and long term. So you're better off using the herbals, vitamin E, and Clomid, and you must come off your steroid use and your TRT. As painful as that's going to be, you must do that, because as long as you're taking that TRT, it's just like taking ACG. It's going to signal to your pituitary glands to stop producing hormones, and you must get that. You must get that going. You must get your pituitary glands firing off. You must get your Leydig cells firing off to give yourself the best chance. So that's going to be the protocol that you would use if you were on TRT, guys. But I wish, Rick, you would just do a word about female psychology when it comes to having children, because it's very, very important. I'm just like, the younger guys don't get it, but it's a huge decision to hop on TRT at a young age, because you're running the risk of never being able to get a girl pregnant, and it's a huge, huge risk. And you have to, when you get older, you're going to have to target women who already have kids or women who don't want kids. And that's not good, because flexibility is very important when you're dating. So, but a lot of the single women with no kids that you're going to meet, who are in their late 20s and 30s, once you get older, like I said, they're going to want kids, and they're going to ask you on a first date, do you want kids? And if you say, no, I can't, but if you tell them, hey, I'm on TRT, I can't have kids, I have no sperm, you know what they're going to do? They're going to be like, oh, I got to go. Because women, that's what women want. I'm telling you guys, that's what women want. Most women, they want kids, and it's a ticking time bomb. Do you want to talk about that for a minute or move on?
Remember, I told you the story. I was on like I think it's my third, maybe fourth ish date with this girl here in NY, and gorgeous girl too. She's 33 about to be, and she drops it on me that she wants to have 3 kids, and she'd like to start as soon as possible. So, which is a good thing. She's being honest about what she wants out of life early on, right? She's not wasting any time. But I sat to the bottom of my seat. I'm like, I already have 3, and I know she was in a long relationship. I've known her for a while. I know she was in a long relationship before her and I got to hang out. And I said to myself, her ex got to enjoy her for years, no kids. They went to the beach. They went and did all kinds of fucking things. And she was younger. Now I'm up. Now I'm gonna fall in line here, make three babies, and be all about. I'm just saying, you know what? And that was the last date, bro. That's the last time. That's the last time That's the last time our cell phone rang with my fucking name on it. Yeah, bro. It's a lot of, especially nowadays, women who go to school first and really focus on themselves and their career first, they find themselves in their early 30s, mid 30s, talking about, I want to have kids now. And a lot of times you might be the guy dating the single 31, 32, 33-year old. And she says she wants kids soon. So it just goes with the territory. Just, if you don't want kids, just find one that doesn't want any children. Or just get the vasectomy early on and just get it. Say fuck it. Free some of your sperm maybe, but just get it and don't risk it. That's it.
If you're dating women seriously, not just trying to hook up, you didn't meet them on a dating app for hookups or anything, but I'm talking about legitimately going on a date. The worst things you can tell a woman is, I can't have kids, number one, and number two, I'm not looking for anything serious, because right away she's going to think this guy just wants me for sex. So, I mean, those are the worst things you can do, guys. So if you're serious,
some women are cool with that. if
cool.
if you're just honest about it, we're cool with just hanging out for sex. If you're just upfront.
No. I'm talking about if you're going on a serious date. I'm not talking about a hookup date. I'm not talking
Oh,
about
like okay, yeah, but if you go into
yeah,
like if you go to like eHarmony or Find My Match or something,
that's what I said,
you
Rick.
know,
I said a serious.
I guess you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
yeah.
Right.
But if you,
But I mean, it goes without saying that if you're on fucking eHarmony, you're trying to get married, not just trying to have sex. Otherwise, you'd be an adult friend finder.
Yeah, there are certain dating sites. There are certain dating sites that are hookup sites, and there's certain dating sites that are legitimate. Like I'm
have
trying
a
to
picture with your dog or with an animal. I've heard that that works out really well for dating profiles, even if it's
don't have
profiles.
One, so
have a picture. You should have a picture with your cat.
We don't have a pet.
You should. Well, how about I go to Florida? You let me borrow your cat on the leash, and I'll take it. I'll make it climb like we'll make it climb like a palm tree. And I'll stand next to it, holding the leash. That'd be a
you can hold it. Well, you can put it up next to you. And
all the pussy. I get all the pussy. I can put a picture.
Well, I mean, the problem is they could be allergic to cats. I did a girl one time. She was allergic.
Oh shit. Okay, that sucks.
But usually, it helps because it makes them think, hey, you're an animal lover, and that's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing on both ends. I wouldn't date a girl who wasn't an animal lover either. So, yeah, Mobster, Nelson, Dylan, we all have cats, bro. You're the only one, so you need to get a cat to catch up to us.
I got kids. I don't need cats, man.
They're gonna be growing up before you know it, bro. They're gonna be growing up, and then
if they grow up and they're then maybe I'll consider having an animal. But I mean, I did that when I was a young man. I did that when I was a young man. I'm good on that, bro. I'm good on that.
You don't want any more responsibility.
I am good on the pets, man. I'm good on these pets. I'm happy people that have them. I'll play with other people's pets when they're around. But I mean, I got a couple buddies that have nice strong pit bulls, terriers, and that breed. And fuck, I'll grab the rope and I'll play with the pit bull for an hour. Be like a cardio workout. I'll get it to bite on it. And I'll lift them up and swing them around. They love that shit. Like I'll play with someone's dog for an hour if the dog is cool. But that's it. But then you keep your dog. I'll go home. I'm good on that. I'm not.
What's the number one pet in New York City?
I wouldn't fucking know. I don't know, man.
Guess.
I have no idea. I couldn't.
Just
cats?
take a guess.
Cats?
No.
Cats.
No.
I don't fucking know. Pigeons?
No, ferrets.
Ferrets. I was about to say that.
You know why? Because a lot of the buildings don't allow dogs or cats. But they allow ferrets in New York City. That's what I read. Yep.
Ferrets, that whole family of animals is fucking cool. Ferrets, like wolverines, otters, they're all the same family. Ferret and otter, fucking wolverine, and they're good fighters. They're very resourceful. Their body type is a honey badger. They're all in the same fucking family. Those animals are cool as shit. Those are cool animals. If you ever reincarnated, like to be a fucking wolverine. That'd be fucking cool.
All right, guys. All right, so the next one shouldn't take us long on this one. The third topic: safe to combine steroids in the same syringe. Believe it or not, this is one a lot of people don't know.
People still asking that? Holy shit!
They are, and when I tell them you can mix steroids in the same syringe, they're shocked. They're like, "Really?" So, but the advantage of stacking steroids in the same syringe, number one, it cuts down on the number of injections you're doing. But also it reduces your post-injection pain because you're kind of diluting the oils. So it's a really good idea to do that, especially if you're using something like testosterone propionate or a hard primo, very high, something with high post-injection pain, and or sustanon, which has a lot of injection pain. If you dilute them with another steroid, then you can really cut down on the PIP. So you can do that, guys, and you should be doing it. So it's a really good idea to do it. And, I do it all the time. You want to touch on that, Rick?
As long as they're oils, you can combine oils. Water-based steroids are never combined with an oil. We've said this before. The oil is not going to get infected there unless your injection spot is really dirty. Unless it's really dirty, your oil is not going to get infected. Water is easier to get infected, but water dissipates out of the muscle quite quickly, way quicker than the oil does. So when you inject the water, the water's gone out of that depot in hours, and you got the crystalline hormone there, ready to go. Talk about Winstrol shots, testosterone base, things like that. When you use oil stays there for a little while. Now, if you shoot like vitamin B12 or Winstrol, any of these water-based with your oil-based steroids, and now you can find oil-based Winstrol, so nobody should really be using water-based Winstrol anymore with the good oil-based Winstrol that's out there now. But you have little water droplets that get trapped inside of the oil. That water is supposed to be dissipating really quickly, but you've got it there at body temperature, and you could develop an infection there by mixing water and oil. So don't do that. But mixing oils together, no problem, man. It actually causes a cool kind of lava lamp effect inside of the syringe. It's pretty cool looking. Like when you're drawing something that's a lighter color, and then let's say you draw like some trend that's more color right into it. I mean, it creates a cool looking little lava lamp situation when the oils are mixing. I mean, there's no issue at all. You could do that.
All right, guys.
I definitely wouldn't mix like vitamin B12 and Winstrol, even though they're both water-based. Even Winstrol, you want to warm up under warm water so that it doesn't clog your syringe. But you could make some of the stuff fall out of solution or clump up in a weird way when you try to mix, different water-based steroids together, different water-based things together. Like I wouldn't mix a water-based peptide and a water-based Winstrol or B12 in the same syringe. Just not a great idea. Now you get into a situation where even if you mix the wrong things, they'll never make it out of the syringe. Crystals will just clump the syringe, and you wasted a whole fucking shot. So that's another concern too with mixing stuff.
So next one we're talking about is which testosterone ester is best for me. So you have different testosterone. The main testosterone esters that are used: cypionate, enanthate. Then you have sustanon, which is 4 esters mixed all together. You got propionate, and those are the main ones, guys. And then there's some longer esters of testosterone that are out there, but those aren't really used. So those are the main ones. So at the end of the day, it depends on your situation. If you're competing or if you're trying to get ready for photo shoots or something like that, you want to be flexible. You want to be able to stop taking what you're taking and not have that testosterone in your system giving you that fuller look, right? So that's why you see a lot of competitors, they use the propionate because they like to be flexible. They'll be on the propionate, they'll come off of it. 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, it'll be out of their system. They won't have that full look. They won't have any of the bloat. They'll be dry. But if you're running a long ester, a sustanon, which is mostly long esters, you're running enanthate or cypionate and you're competing, that's a problem because you'll go in your competition watery and you won't be able to get rid of that water effectively versus just coming off and having it out of your system. So flexibility wise, it's good to use propionate. But if you're a normal gym rat, I would just go with a cypionate or enanthate because it's very smooth injections. You just inject it once or twice a week, no problem. It's really good on a cycle. Sustanon, it's very popular in Britain. It's what they use for TRT over there historically. But the problem with sustanon is a post-injection pain. And that's the thing with it. And because it's got such long esters in it, mostly long esters, very small amount of sustanon is propionate, but it's got 1 intermediate ester and it's got 2 long esters. So with sustanon, you want to inject it. Really, the way it was designed to be injected for TRT was once every 2 to 3 weeks. You inject 1 cc every 2 to 3 weeks. And so if you're doing a 12-week cycle and you're going to inject once every 2 or 3 weeks, doesn't make any sense. You see? So you would do basically 2 or 3 cc's every 2 or 3 weeks. You see what I'm saying? And then after like 12 weeks, you're going to have a lot of it still in your system and it's going to be lasting in your body while it's going to take a long time to reach peak in your body. It could take 6-7 weeks to reach peak on your body. So it's not a good option really, unless you're really cruising long term and it's readily available. So I think, that's my view on it. If you're competing, you're getting ready for a photo shoot, be flexible, use a shorter ester. And then you have testosterone suspension, which doesn't have any esters attached to it. And that one is rarely sold. You don't see sources selling it because it's completely useless unless you're a tested athlete. The only situation you ever want to use it is if you're a tested athlete, because it's in and out of your system in the same day. There's no ester attached. So you won't get caught for using it. But the post injection pain with that is brutally awful. Brutally awful. So that's something you don't want to mess with. Unless you're a tested athlete. So those are my thoughts. Give your thoughts, Rick.
The best testosterone ester is the one that you can get that's not fake. If you can get real testosterone, if you get human grade testosterone, even better. That's about it. I guess I've said this before on the podcast, go over it again. The natate ester is longer than the prop ester, than propionate. So when the steroid powder is being weighed for putting into the compound, well, the weight of the ester is not taken into account. So in propionate, maybe the weight of the ester is a lot lower percentage of the total weight than it is for a natate. So you're getting more steroid, you're getting more testosterone by weight per injection out of propionate that you get in out of an natate. Definitely more than something like testosterone undecyclinate, which Bayer makes called Nebido, which I've tried a few times. Very expensive, but something like 30-something percent, almost 40% of the weight of that shot is just ester that enzymes in your body first remove off of the steroid before your body can use it. So that's the only real consideration, man. If you're an experienced guy and you're trying to get the most bang for the buck, propionate is good. It's just 100 mgs of prop have more active testosterone than 100 mgs of an natate, and it's enough to make a difference if you're doing 500 a week, 750 a week. It makes a bit of a difference. Besides that, look, if you can get propionate underground, or you can get cypionate human grade, or natate human grade, and it's legit, go for the human grade legit. Go for the natate. Go for the cypionate. Go for that. If you can get a human grade, pay the extra money, and it's fine. Even if you get less active testosterone per shot than you would at a prop. It's just gave you guys some stuff to think about. There you go.
So the last one is going to be a little bit of a blast to the past. And Rick, I'm going to bring you in on this because you used to be kind of a sponsor on the forums back in the day. And you remember that we used to have some sponsors selling Prohormones. So tell us a little bit about Prohormones, facts, fiction. Tell us about their ban. Tell us what's still around today with Prohormones. We do get some people asking about Prohormones here and there. And there are some Prohormones still being sold out there. They're obviously completely different than the old Prohormones. But so educate us on this.
Well, Prohormones, there are so many of. You guys would be surprised and shocked. We got the diones and the diols from all the way back to even some of the methylated solos, stuff like that came, and the bolins, all methylated, that came in the late 2008, 9, all the way until most of everything that was effective got banned by 2014. And what can we say about these Prohormones? There's still some out there on the market. They're much weaker than all the stuff that got banned. You have some like one for the HEAs and some of this other stuff. Now, it's still stronger than some of the ingredients you get over the counter, but you need quite a bit of it, way more than you need the methylated stuff. I mean, look, of one of these new Prohormones that are available today, you might need 100, 200 mg to get the same effect you could have gotten out of 5 milligrams of Superdrol back when you could buy it over the counter. So are there pro hormones out there that are legal? Some, very few. Are they as effective? Not as effective as they were before the 2014 ban and before the other two slow bans that were before then. A and a lot of the really good pro hormones, like Superdrol, like Epistane, like 4-chloral, some of those are still available in the lists of sources out there. A lot of sources out there still, you can still get Superdrol from them because the demand was so high and their strength was so comparable to the stuff that was already illegal that once they became illegal, they just got added to the list of many sources out there. Uh, Formistane, great steroid. Formistane is Epistane, great fucking steroid. Formistane, it's like anti-estrogen antibiotic. It's a great product. Works topically. Put it around your nipples, dries you up. I'm pretty much out of mines already. I had a stash, and then during a move, some of it got destroyed unwillingly. I just couldn't salvage it. And forever I will miss Formistane. So most of the good stuff is gone. Some of the over-the-counter stuff is can be stronger than some natural ingredients, but nowadays it's not what it used to be. But the good stuff, most of the good stuff, you can still find on the list of many sources across the land. You just gotta know where to look.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for many, but there's still plenty of pro hormones out there. The thing is, they're being put in certain things like SARMs, for example. When they banned pro hormones, we're talking about millions of dollars of pro hormones that were sitting there in warehouses and stock. So what do you think they did with them, Rick? They literally overnight, the same companies that were selling pro hormones, the next day were selling SARMs. So then what do you think they did? Do you think they just magically got rid of all their pro hormones, millions of dollars worth, and just bought up another millions of dollars worth of SARMs? Of course not. So we get these threads all the time from people who think they're running SARMs and they're getting all these pro hormone side effects. So put two and two together, it's obvious where the pro hormones went. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of guys are still running pro hormones. They just don't know they're running pro hormones. So at the end of the day,
yeah, it's a cheaper, it's a much cheaper switch out to switch something like GW or Cardarine or LGD, Osterin, YK11 Rad. You could switch those out for a much cheaper pro hormones. I mean, there's some pro hormones on the market that are real cheap. Chinese sources have it on the list for like under $1,000. Some are under $2,000 if you get some of the cheaper stuff. Some of them were never all that effective to begin with, to even have popularity, to even make it into the legislation. Some of them were just like also rans, meaning one or two companies try to put them out of the market. They just weren't all that great. So they just didn't have a market over things like Epistane, Formistane, Superdrol, Halodrol, right? They just didn't match up, but they're not quite illegal. So I guess if some of these unscrupulous SARM sources are importing them and tossing them into products, it'll give people some effects. Definitely an effect that's not like they're natural, but it won't be that good refined kind of side effect free effects that we know from SARMs. They're using cheaper pro hormones and not like the good band pro hormones. Don't think out there that you're gonna get Halodrol instead of Rad. Don't think you're out there getting something like Formistane or 4-chloral, something really good like that. Don't think you're getting that. You're getting some of the Osorans, the stuff that could have maybe seen the light of day, wasn't all that effective compared to everything else that was out there. It was probably too far back in the line in conversions to where you could have a lot of estrogen side effects. And it just never made it to legislation, just never made it banned. It's not for the sources to put on their list. It's not worth for supplement companies to say, hey, take this stuff, even though it converts to estrogen at a 20%. A 30% level to a strong estrogen. Like, it's just not worth it, right? But man, can you spike some fucking SARMs for people that don't know what they're looking for with some of that stuff, and they'll get some effects. I mean, they'll know they're taking something. So it's sad. It's not a it's a terrible thing going on, and we do get a lot of guys on the forums that ask about other brands out there that they're just running into, even stuff they're picking up at some of these supplement stores from behind the counter. That guy doesn't know what the fuck is up, and they're reporting all these side effects that shouldn't come around from real legitimate SARMs. You know what I mean?
All right, guys. So that sums it up, guys. We threw a lot of information your way. As usual, I got you guys some good questions here, and you guys keep sending us some good questions, right? So we're gonna keep reading them. We're gonna keep answering them. That's what we do. That's what we do. So this is episode
That same guy,
number.
the same guy PM'd us. He's a 55-year-old guy. Wants us to do an episode all about guys his age.
Yes.
Yeah, he said he spoke to you. Yeah, I dropped him a link to the one we did for guys who want to take steroids over 50. We'll do another round, and we'll raise the age up a little bit, around 60. Steroids and performance enhancement for guys late 50s, early 60s, and we'll double that one up now that the guy PM you and I both, and he's really adamant about it. So let's do it for him.
Yeah, guys, we're here for you guys. We're here for the fans. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Evolutionary.org, our producers, our directors, for allowing us to bring you guys this information. No other podcast brings you this information. So episode 405. We'll talk to you guys next week. Enjoy.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.